to falter. I remember we stopped at like a very crucial moment and I felt terrible about it, but I cannot remember what it is. I'm scared. Alright, let's go. Load 1. Up. Oh, it's taking a long time. Whoa! Let's see. What makes you think the criminal had the rope on hand? Okay. I'm remembering it all now. Did the volume mixer get... No? Hold on one second. Oh. Somehow my volume got turned up. I think my daughter messed with the volume. But it's okay. It's not a big deal. So sorry if that was really loud. It was really loud for me too. Alright, what makes you think the criminal had the rope on hand to create a pendulum? Okay, we're trying to prove that somehow we swung... the criminal swung the victim's body under the bridge to get it to the other side while it's on fire. Alright, what makes you think... And so we gotta figure out where he got the rope. Where they got the rope. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. Which I think it's in... Whoops. This picture? I'm not 100% sure, but let's go ahead. And the meaning of this is... If you want to know where the rope came from, it's hanging right there in front of your glorious beard. I can't say beard. This is one of the wires from the bridge. When the lightning struck the bridge and set it on fire, one of the suspension wires came loose from its anchor. The criminal didn't have any time to waste, so they tied the wire around Elise Stonham's body. Wait! Oh my god, that is so believable. That's exactly what happened. Because there was simply no other way to move the body. Ha! Glug 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 glug. Glug 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 glug. Mr. Godo! Oh my god! It seems that Mr. Godo is more focused on his coffee than answering my question. It seems that the odds of a rope being readily available were very high, so I suppose that it's not an impossibility after all. Possible or impossible? That's not the question we need to ask. There's only one question. Did that really happen? Trait! I wonder if you can prove what happened to us. Do you have any actual evidence that the body was swung over like a pendulum? Well, there was this. Let's go ahead and save it because I don't know. Before I present my evidence, let me review what we know so far. According to this photo, one of the wires snapped. Looking at the map, we can see it's the one that was in front of the inner temple. So then that was the spot where the criminal... Yes, precisely. Now let us consider the body's movement by looking at the overhead map again. If the body was pushed from this point here, whee, it would drop on the opposite bank at approximately this point. Did you say drop? Well, they must have failed to catch the body on the other bank. What? What makes you think something like that happened? Because I have evidence that suggests her body dropped some distance. What kind of evidence? Take a look at this autopsy report. It says here that her body fell about 10 feet after her death. 10 feet, huh? That's most likely the height difference between the two sides. The body overswung due to forward momentum, but then came loose and fell about 10 feet. I wish I could have seen this. And then as a result of the landing impact, this crystal sphere was knocked loose. That's... Yes, this blood-stained amethyst crystal. It's the one that came off of Ms. Elise Donham's staff. And even more important is the place where the crystal sphere was found. Indeed. I believe it's already marked on this overhead map. The crystal was found... Precisely, Your Honor. The very spot where the pendulum would arrive if given the right amount of speed. This explains your theory quite well, Mr. Wright. You provided us with a way the body could have been moved that night. An impressive deduction, Mr. Wright. Most impressive. Mr. Wright? I thought this cold coffee might help you cool down. What is the meaning of this, Mr. Godo? That was a dark and bitter guess that you made, Trite. But you forgot about one thing. Oh, and what would that be? The aroma. What? Huh? A coffee's most reliable accomplice is its deep and profound aroma. The rest of the court doesn't speak coffee-nese. Can you elaborate a bit more? If the criminal had sent the body to the other side like you say, then naturally there must have been an accomplice lying in wait to catch it. An accomplice? The criminal wasn't able to cross Dusky Bridge, so who collected the body? What do you have to say about that, Trite? Mr. Godo is correct. This can't be the work of a single person. Well, Mr. Wright, you know what you must do. Yes, Your Honor. The body couldn't have made it to Hazakura Temple without an accomplice. Very well then, if you please, Mr. Wright. Who was the person that received the body on the Hazakura Temple side? This is the only person I can think of. It can only be you, Sister Iris. Huh? But I don't see why you're so surprised. The only way to transport the body from Dusky Bridge is by snowmobile. But with her bad back, Sister Bikini can never pick up a body like that. You're the only one that could have managed it. Objection. Trite, were you even listening to the witness's testimony? On the night of the crime, this little cutie pie was on cleanup duty in the Inner Temple Garden after the mother-daughter bloodbath. I haven't forgotten, but have you, Mr. Godo? This witness was also seen at Hazakura Temple, desecrating the corpse of the victim. Strange indeed. It's almost as if, on that night, the defendant was in two different places at the same time. Sister Iris, let me ask you something. Why didn't you mention it when you first gave your testimony? Mention what? The pendulum, of course. Using this sketch drawn by an eyewitness, I have established how the body was moved using the burnt-out bridge. Which means it's now a fact that this occurred, something you should have already known. No, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about a pendulum. But the body couldn't have been passed along the other side without your help. So you should have known about it. In fact, it'd be impossible for you to be clueless about this whole thing. Unless you're not really Iris to begin with. What? What? How can you say that, Mr. Wright? What? What kind of nonsense is this? You're saying this witness isn't Iris of Hazakura Temple? Objection. Are you serious, Trite? You mean this woman is... Oh god. There's no one besides Iris that could have received the corpse that night. Now I get it. Now I know why I've been sick to my stomach during this trial. Why her whole demeanor changed so suddenly from yesterday. And why she's trying to pin this murder on Maya. The woman that's standing there at the witness stand? Her real name is... Oh my god, I don't know who it is. Oh! Never mind, I do. I don't know who's doing the channeling though. It can't be Maya, can it? Let's save. I never thought I'd have to utter your name again, let alone see you. It's been a long time. Dahlia Hawthorne. Hawthorne? Sister Iris had a twin sister. And you're looking at her, Miss Dahlia Hawthorne. That name rings some bells. Distant bells, but bells nonetheless. Ha! It's just your imagination, Gramps. This file contains all the relevant data about Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh yes, I remember now. That case, 5 years ago. My name is Dahlia Hawthorne. I just want to say, it's an honor for me to be here in your noble presence. The honor is all mine. No, the honor is all mine. But according to this, Dahlia Hawthorne is already dead. It says her execution was carried out last month. So what? Death has no meaning in this courtroom. What? Order, order, order! Well, wait a moment. How can you... My sister, she's already dead. What kind of... You of all people should already understand. After all, the blood of the master of the Kurain channeling technique flows within that body. Oh, it is Maya. Is it? The Kurain channeling technique? Now where have I heard that? That's right. You're not Dahlia Hawthorne herself. Well, it could be Iris, I guess, because Iris is missing. You're the spirit of Dahlia, currently inhabiting the body of a spirit medium. What an exciting story. Exciting, but quite impossible. You're asking us to buy that Dahlia Hawthorne just happened to be channeled by someone on the very night of the murder to a temple where her twin sister Iris was? Well, if you're gonna put things that way, then yes. We're supposed to believe a coincidence like that just happened? Naturally, it was no coincidence. The whole thing was part of a plan from the very beginning. It's all written right here in these instructions. What's that? These instructions were written by your mother, Morgan Fay. And part of the plan called for Dahlia Hawthorne to be channeled. That night, there were 2 irises at Hazakura Temple. 2 of them? Even the time of the channeling was planned out. As soon as you hear the lights out bell, in other words, 10 p.m. However, Iris was seen before dinner time. That means the Iris that was at dinner was the real Iris. And the Iris who gave me this hood in the main hall was also the real Iris. Meaning that the Iris Sister Bikini saw at the inner temple was someone else dressed as her, namely one Dahlia Hawthorne. Do you even know what you're saying, Trite? This whole channeling the spirit of Dahlia Hawthorne business? Yes, it's true that you found plans that talk about it. However, there's one thing that's perfectly clear. The witness currently standing in the witness stand is the real Iris. What? calm down and remember what you know about the night of the crime. After meeting Sister Bikini, the Dahlia Hawthorne that had been channeled would have been stranded at the inner temple due to the lightning strike. It was later that the body was moved by pendulum. That's right. Naturally, that would mean that the iris that received the body was the real iris. And are you with me so far? Yes. After being notified of what happened, the police came to Hazakura Temple's main hall. There they found Iris in her room and arrested her. And ever since, she's been under police supervision at the detention center. Yes, I suppose. I can't deny any of that. Phew, thank goodness. It looks like he's finally convinced. But something still seems off. Way off. I'm still not convinced that the iris here is the same one from the other night. Ha! I suppose you're about to say something really ridiculous. Like, the real Iris and the spirit of Dahlia somehow switched places? Switched places? To be perfectly honest, there are still quite a few things I don't understand, but I do know that unless we confirm the witness's identity, we can't continue with this trial. Iris doesn't have the spiritual power needed to channel Dahlia, which means they must have switched places somewhere. Well, Mr. Wright, since the time she was arrested at Hazakura Temple, have there been any chances for Iris to switch places with Dahlia Hawthorne? Yes, there was one. Your Honor, I think there might have been one chance. Oh? Explain yourself. Yesterday, for a few minutes, Iris's whereabouts were unknown. Unknown? What do you mean? What I mean is, there was a span of time in which Iris was unable to move about, freely unsupervised. Well, who was it? Who would give a murder suspect time to move about freely like that? I'm sorry, I know you didn't mean to. It wasn't your fault. The person who gave Iris the chance to freely move about was... Miles Edgeworth. This is Mr. Edgeworth, isn't it? Your Honor, there was a fairly large earthquake yesterday, was there not? An earthquake? Earthquake! Oh my goodness, the inner temple! This kind of tremor might... How could I have... She fled. She escaped. We went to the inner temple right away. And it's true, Iris was already there. However, they had already switched places by that point in time. When I arrived at the training hall, I was met by none other than Dahlia Hawthorne. That's quite enough already, Mr. Wright. Now see here. No judge in his right mind would consider the idea of spirit channeling to be... Be quiet. Uh-oh. It's been a long time, Mr. Judge. That voice? Guess I'll have to ask again. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules. Dahlia Hawthorne. And my current profession? Permanently retired. Ha! So you're not going to bother hiding your identity anymore, huh? Why should I? After all, I'm dead. There's really nothing you can do to punish me. What is going on here? Dahlia Hawthorne. I never thought we'd meet again, and I never thought we'd meet like this. But this time I'll end it, for her and for myself. To be continued. Well, I guess that's it for now. Nah, just kidding. Probably do some recore later. If we finish the game, I don't know. February 10th, 1:06 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 7. I want to say we're fairly close. Now then, let's continue where we left off, shall we? Well, witness? Yes, how can I help you, Mr. Judge? Well, it seems that if we're to learn the truth, we'll need to hear your testimony. I have no problem with that. But when you've seen what I have, sometimes the truth is better left unknown. In any case, let's hear your testimony. Tell us about the plan that was carried out that night. The plan. The whole plan began with my death. A stupid plan hatched by Morgan Fay to install her own daughter as the next master. But for it to work, Maya Fey would first have to die. The idea was for me to kill Maya and then have the blame pinned on Iris. The plan went wrong, but it seemed to have succeeded anyway. So that means... Wait a minute. Did you just say the plan was to kill Maya Fey? Yes. You have a problem with that? Don't give us that nonsense. There's no way. Watch yourself, Trite. If you've got a problem, solve it during cross-examination. That's my rule. Mr. Goto is correct. And by the way, that's my rule as well. To kill Maya? Could it be true? Alright, the plan. You were executed last month, correct? Yes, I was hanged. It wasn't exactly pleasant. How did you manage to discuss the plan? When did you talk with Morgan Fay? Last year. She was transferred to the same detention center as me. Since I was on death row and she was my mother, it was actually pretty easy to meet with her. I see. So that's when you discussed the plan. Ha! Are you crazy? At first, that woman was planning to kill me as well. Even though I'm her own daughter. Ultimate Pearl Fay, the master of Kurain? She's a cold, twisted woman. She thought she could finally regain her lost honor. The honor she lost when her younger sister Misty took her place as the master. Ever since that day, she's been working on the plan. The plan. A plan, huh? A stupid plan hatched by Morgan Fay to install her own daughter. You're talking about Pearl Fay, is that correct? Yes, though at first she had high hopes for the two of us. You and your twin sister Iris? That's correct. Fortunately, neither of us had much spiritual power. That's why we were abandoned by her, along with our father. Abandoned? The only person I ever really cared about in life was myself. My sister was a nuisance, so I convinced my father to leave her at an old temple. You mean Iris? Yes, my father remarried a woman who also had a daughter. The less children you have, the more money there is to go around, right? And on top of that, my father had absolutely no interest in children in general. How horrible. The real horrible one was that woman, that bitter, vengeful woman. It was her stubbornness that gave birth to that child, Pearl Fay. She was born with an abundance of spiritual power, unfortunately for her. Morgan Fay heaped all of her broken hopes and dreams to that poor child's back. All because of her pathetic dreams of having her bloodline become the main family. But to work, Maya Fay would have to die. Maya would have to die? But why? For our bloodline to succeed as the main family, thus making Pearl the new master, the remaining descendants of the current master had to be taken care of. But Pearls would never agree to a plan like that. She adores Maya. How sad. You still don't get it, do you? What Pearl wanted had nothing to do with it. Morgan didn't care one bit about Pearl. The only thing she cared about was the position of the master. That's all. That's ridiculous! Ridiculosity. She was willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to achieve her goal. The life of her daughter, and naturally the life of Maya Fay as well. How could anyone do that? The idea was to kill Maya. You? You were going to kill Maya? Pearl didn't need to know anything about it. All she had to do was to follow the instructions in the letter and channel me. Then I would have simply used her body and finished the job. In any case, I'm already dead, and there's nothing any of you can do to me. Grr! So the plan was to blame the crime on your younger sister. On Sister Iris of Hazakura Temple. She and I look absolutely identical. No one can tell us apart. If someone were to witness me killing Maya, naturally they would think it was Iris that had done it. And the witness in this case was head nun Sister Bikini. I never would have guessed she was going to return to Hazakura Temple that night. But she wound up seeing Iris's crime anyway. But why did you want to pin the murder on Iris in the first place? She's your twin sister, isn't she? Twin sister? Don't make me laugh. She's nothing but a backstabber. I couldn't care less about her. Backstabber? You just don't understand. You never will. Anyway. The plan went wrong, but it seems to have succeeded anyway. You think the plan was a success? You heard me. Just as that woman had hoped. Maya Fay is dead. Now the title of the master will pass on to Pearl Fay. That's absurd. Maya is just... she's just trapped. Trapped inside the sacred cavern. Really? You're as foolishly optimistic as ever, aren't you? My darling Feeny. Do you want to know the truth? Ever since we met, I've despised you. Your sniveling... I don't know how to say that word. Naivete? I don't know what that... I have no idea. And your pathetic faith in other people. I just want to know one thing. What did you personally think of Morgan Fay's plan? I told you already, didn't I? It was a stupid plan. It had no point, no value other than fulfilling her own greedy desires. Yes, it was certainly nothing to be proud of. If that's how you feel, why did you help her carry it out? Why would you do it? Why would you kill Maya? You may not understand it, being the kind and gentle soul that you are. You may not be able to appreciate why someone like me would help a woman like that. So then tell me, why? Isn't it obvious? I'm not like that woman. I only act in my own self-interest. The reason I helped her was for myself. For my own personal satisfaction. What did you say? So this woman, Dahlia Hawthorne, she had her own reason for wanting Maya dead? Do you understand why I would kill Maya Fay now? What my goal was? No. Obviously, it's because you were helping Morgan Fay. Helping? Don't make me laugh. From the day I was born to the day I died, I never helped anyone. I lived for myself, and in the end, I died for myself. I thought that was obvious. So she wasn't actually cooperating with Morgan. She was just using Morgan in her plan so she could accomplish her own goal. All I wanted to do was kill Maya Fey. That was the only way I could think of to get revenge. Revenge? It looks like I have no choice but to present that piece of evidence. I can't believe it. She meant to kill Maya. I've got to keep a cool head, and I need to get more information out of her. It's the only way to understand this plan and what she was after as well. He told me to present some evidence, but I don't know what evidence he's talking about. I wish they would tell me. I don't think that was right. I don't even know why I presented that. I'll have to penalize you. No! I must be on the wrong track. Why she'd want Maya dead? I have no idea. Oh no, that was... Maybe she did it for someone? But he said it was evidence I had to present. I have no idea what it is. Let's go to the beginning and reread it. The whole plan began with my death. Stupid plan hatched from Morgan Fay. Daughter's the master. But for it to work, she would have to die. The idea was for me to kill Maya and then have the blame pinned on Iris. The plan went wrong, but it seems to have succeeded anyway. I have no idea why she would want to. I guess it's time to just go through everything. Let's save. Let's save it here. Alright, something. Maybe it was. Oh, am I not? I'm not in the profiles for some reason. Okay, I don't think that's it. I guess I can't think of any contradictions. Wait a second. Does it name Maya in here? It doesn't name anybody here. Maybe it has something to do with this. Nope. I wonder if I'm supposed to keep pressing. How did the plan go wrong? I think the plan was a success. You heard me. Just as that woman had hoped, Maya Fey is dead. Now the title of the master will pass on to Pearl. That's absurd. She's just trapped. Really? Can't believe it. She meant to kill Maya. I've got to keep a cool head, and I need to get more information out of her. The only way to understand this plan. I guess I had to keep cross-examining her. I mean, pressing her, I guess? You were executed last month? Yes. Hang. I wonder who Pearl's father is. Maya would have to die, but why? really seem to do anything. Yeah, what's the shortcut for loading? Okay, F1. We're just gonna go through everything. Oh, let me save it here. We're just gonna show everything. And I do mean everything. Did I do this already? I already did that. But she never really talks about how she met with Miss Donham and killed her instead. I have no idea. I already did that, I think. I can't think of anything else that would be seriously relevant. Okay, let's save it here. I don't want to keep going back. No, I don't want to check. Whoops. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. Let me see if I can just find a walkthrough real quick, because I could be here for forever. And I could be not choosing the evidence I needed. Is it this one that we're at? Let's see, what's this one? Okay, it must be the next one. Alright, press on all statements. After pressing all statements, a new one will be added. Okay, we already got that. Let's remember that first and foremost in this conversation. Present Mia face profile. Oh, okay. So I do have to present a profile, and I never would have got to do this one. I don't even know if it's here that I do it. Here we go. Could it be That your actual goal had nothing to do with Maya Fey herself? As I said, none of you have the power to punish me anymore, because I'm already dead. Well, I had the same problem, you see. You can't punish the dead, and you can't take revenge against them either. You wanted to take revenge on someone? I was sentenced to die because of that woman. Mia Fey. I somehow knew this was it. I wanted to send her a message. It was at her hands that I suffered my first humiliation. I wanted her to feel the same pain she made me feel. Sadly, when I realized revenge was impossible, I gave up. And the real reason it was impossible was that perhaps Mia Fey had already died? Yes, and I realized there's only one way to take revenge against the dead. And how do you do that? Even when the body dies, the spirit, the ego, it lives on forever. I wanted to take away the person that Mia Fey loved most. I wanted to kill her with my own hands. That would be the one and only way I could take my revenge against Mia Fey. That was the reason I helped out with that woman's plans. Just for that? For that you would kill Maya? Your goal was no different than that of Morgan Fey. As they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. What a cruel plan. Cruel, cold, and heartless. Humph! Don't waste your time preaching to the dead. I've already told you, there's not a thing you can do to me. Grr! That night, at about 9:30 p.m. I materialized into this world. I quickly pinned my hair up and put on a demon warding hood. Then I picked up the staff that was by my side and left Hazakura Temple. So it was Elise Donham who channeled her after all. That ridiculous head nun never noticed a thing. She left Maya Fey at the inner temple and wobbled back, clutching her poor old back. What did you do then? That kid was easier to handle than I had hoped. I caught up with her in front of the stone lantern. Then I took out the dagger I got from the storeroom and... So then you're saying you stabbed Maya? It's strange, but I don't have a clear memory of what happened after that. What does that mean? No clear memory? I don't know. I think I was stabbed. You were stabbed? At the last minute, Maya Fey must have stabbed me. I'm sure of it. That's not like her at all. Maya wouldn't stab a french fry with a plastic fork. Anyway, I suddenly lost consciousness. But before I did, I scrawled her name on the lantern. Just as I was passing out, I wrote Maya behind my back. I had hoped it would cast suspicion on her. I can't believe she was thinking of that until the bitter end. That's where my memory temporarily stops. It stops? I don't have any memory of actually killing Maya Fey with my own two hands. My very last memory was... Maya's terror-filled eyes. When I woke up after that, I was in the sacred cavern surrounded by darkness. You're in the sacred cavern? The entrance was sealed with one of those trick locks. Somehow I had been trapped in there. How did you wind up in there? I'd like to know that myself. Anyway, I was worried. I didn't know whether or not Maya Fey was dead. And I swore I wouldn't return to the underworld until I knew I'd killed her myself. For a ghost, you're one tough cookie. I wanted to get out of there and make sure she was dead. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't get out. The trick lock stopped you, huh? I don't know how to remove it. So then you're saying you were actually confined against your will inside the sacred cavern? Yes. I wanted to get rid of that annoying lock as soon as possible. But it wasn't easy. I kept getting interrupted while I was working on it. Interrupted? It was early in the morning, but someone came into the training hall. What? Who? Could it have been Maya? I thought the same thing, but I couldn't see. Why not? If someone had spotted me, I would have lost my chance to take revenge. So I made sure to hide myself well at the back of the sacred cavern. That morning, only 2 people could have gone into the training hall. Maya and Pearls. Pearls went there to cover the hanging scroll in gravy. Still, I finally managed to remove the lock, but I was too late. What do you mean by that? The flies had already started to gather. The bridge had been fixed and the police had started their investigation, correct? Naturally, I couldn't go out. So instead, I returned to the cavern and put the lock back on myself. I realized I wouldn't get a chance to see Maya's corpse as I had hoped. But just then, Lady Luck showed up. Lady Luck? After that big earthquake, she showed up all by herself. The real Iris? She said she'd come to make sure the sacred cavern was alright. Stupid girl. I came out from the sacred cavern, and got a feel for the situation. And I locked her away in my place. I had finally learned exactly what had happened. It was then that I learned that the plan had actually succeeded. What do you mean your plan had succeeded? I had misunderstood one thing, you see. That night, the one that had summoned me, I had assumed that it was Pearl Fay. Well, of course you would have assumed that. It was written in the instructions. But I was wrong. The person that had actually called my spirit back was... Misty Fay, the picture book author. What? Well, that's really the only possibility, isn't it? After I lost consciousness in the garden, it was her body that was left lying there. Maya Fay, I wasn't able to kill her with my own hands after all. But even so, I made her commit the most vile sin a human can commit. And that is... matricide, the sin of killing her own mother. Ugh, no way! Order! Order in the court! What is the meaning of this? It's true that I was the one who attacked Maya Fay. But even so, the murderer who actually snuffed out Misty Fay's life was none other than your darling little Maya. Ridiculous! That's nonsense! Are you sure about that? Just think about it. There's even evidence supporting these facts, isn't there? What? What do you mean? What is this so-called evidence? The fact that Maya Fay has disappeared is evidence enough, isn't it? Huh? The idea that she's still in the sacred cavern is just ridiculous. She wasn't even able to escape from the inner temple. That much is obvious. In that case, there's only one place she could be. Where? Do I just spell it out? The bottom of the Eagle River. Where else? Eagle River? Maya Fay killed her long-lost mother. Can you imagine the guilt she must have felt when she realized that? That's why she threw herself into the Eagle River. Most bodies that wind up in there are lost forever. Except Phoenix Wright. So what do you have to say now? Feeny? Ooh, Oops. Sorry, that's my phone. What kind of ringtone is that? Beep. Goto here? Okay, thanks. Was it something important? They just finished removing the locks from the sacred cavern. That's great! What about Maya? There was a woman in the cave. Was it Maya Fey? It was the accused, Sister Iris. Huh? Don't look so surprised. I locked her up in there yesterday. I just got finished telling you that. So, what about Maya? Where is she? There was no one else found in the sacred cavern. No, it can't be. I told you, didn't I? She's dead. No. No! It seems that this case has come to an end. A tragic end. Sadly, it appears the killer of Elise Donham, also known as Misty Fey, was her own daughter, Maya Fey. But it was out of defense. Overcome with guilt for what she had done, Maya Fey jumped to her death into the raging waters of the Eagle River. It can't be. Ha! Trite. Have you ever heard this one? Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. No matter how improbable it may seem. What is that supposed to mean, Prosecutor Goto? According to this witness, Maya Fey threw herself into the Eagle River. However, is that really the truth? Remember, this woman testified earlier that the bridge was already on fire when the murder was taking place in the garden, which means if Maya had thrown herself into the river, it must have been from the inner temple side near the bridge. That's right, that's where she jumped from. But that's impossible. It's impossible to jump into the river from there. What? Don't get your panties all twisted up, trite. Just relax and think through the whole thing again. So it's impossible? Maya couldn't have thrown herself into the Eagle River? Well, Mr. Wright, Miss Hawthorne claims Miss Fey threw herself into the river from the inner temple side. Do you have any evidence that refutes this claim? Should be this. Yes. It's impossible to jump into the Eagle River from the inner temple side. No one knows that better than this witness. What did you say? 11 years ago, you jumped into the very same river. Just take a look at this overhead map. As you can see, below the cliff on the inner temple side is a big rock shelf. Oh, you're right. She wouldn't have reached the river if she had jumped off from there. In other words, if she had jumped, we should be able to see her body in this photo. Oh! Ha! So you finally figured it out. You... No! Order! Order! You're just playing with me. Maya Fey's body is at the bottom of the Eagle River. There's nowhere else she could possibly be hiding. Miss Hawthorne, have you ever heard this one before? Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Yes, just a few minutes ago. Maya Fey wasn't inside the sacred cavern. We now know that she didn't throw herself into the Eagle River. Correct? That eliminates all the most likely possibilities. Now, although it seems improbable, there's still one other place she could be. What? What is this one possibility you're talking about? That's obviously a bluff. So where is her dead body then? Finally, I think the pieces are falling into place. I got it mixed up. Normally the living have no way to punish the dead. But I think there's a way to give Dahlia Hawthorne the ultimate punishment. Shall I tell you, Miss Hawthorne? Shall I tell you where Maya is this very instant? I want to say she's in this very courtroom. There's only one possibility left. Namely, she's right here in this very courtroom. Whoa, what? Maya's here? You say she's here in my courtroom? Dahlia Hawthorne, I seem to recall that you said I had misunderstood one thing, you see. So what? But I think there's one more thing you misunderstood. What do you mean? Tell me something. At this very moment, who is channeling Dahlia Hawthorne? Why, that's obvious. It's Pearl Fay, that pathetic little sniveling runt. You're wrong. Pearl's tried, but she couldn't do it. I've never failed at channeling someone. This is the first time it's happened. Isn't there any explanation for why you couldn't channel a spirit? It could happen if someone else was already channeling the same spirit. Someone called me before Pearl did? But who? Pearl's even tried again on the day of the crime. The day after the crime. But she couldn't do it. What could that mean? I think the truth is becoming clearer to you right about now, am I correct? It wasn't Pearls that channeled you. There was someone who called you before she could.
Take that!
This is an easy one. Pearls couldn't do it, and Misty Fay is gone. There's only one possibility left. Come on already, I can't stand the tension. Dahlia Hawthorne. The person channeling you right now must be Maya Fay. What? But how could that be? Remember what the witness Dahlia Hawthorne said about her goal. She said that her goal was to kill Maya Fay. Yes, that's right. But if Maya channeled the spirit of someone that was trying to kill her... Ha! Well, Gramps? What would happen? What would happen? Could it be? It looks like you finally understand, Your Honor. Well, I don't. What are you going on about? What I'm going on about is the reason Maya channeled you. And there's only one reason. To protect herself from you. To protect herself from me? Yes. On the night of the crime, you were only interested in one thing. Killing Maya Fay. The path to the inner temple was closed off, and there was nowhere for her to run. So then the problem became, where would be the safest place to hide? You mean, that's when she channeled me? All along you thought you had been channeled by Pearls. That's why it never occurred to you that Maya's hiding place was you! No! Don't say that! You're saying that I was played for a fool by that little whelp? Maya Fay killed herself. Isn't it obvious?
Objection!
Sorry, but no. It would have been impossible for her to jump into the Eagle River. This was the only avenue of escape open to Maya. The only way that Maya could disappear from the inner temple. I don't believe you. A stupid little girl like that who has never been out of in the real world. She could never have come up with a plan like that. Who could have ever given her such a brilliant idea? Well, me, of course. Mia! Yay, Mia's here! Mia Fey! It's been a long time, Dahlia Hawthorne. So it's true. It was you. Yes. Ha! You're something else. But what are you doing here? That hair. It's pearls, right? Tell me something, Dahlia. I want you to think back to the night one more time. You had just cornered Maya in the Inner Temple's garden. And then, in the final moments of the fight, you lost consciousness. I was stabbed by Maya Fey. Actually, Maya lost consciousness at the same time as you. She did? Not terribly surprising since she was about to be killed. When she woke up, she was in the training hall. That's when Maya decided she needed help, so she channeled me. She explained in a memo the situation she was in. She asked me what I thought she should do. She did that? I can't believe it. Of course I didn't have all the details, but one thing was perfectly clear, and that was, I knew that you couldn't be allowed to wander free. Free? What do you mean? It was a race against time, so I wrote down 2 things that Maya had to do. Channel Dahlia Hawthorne as soon as possible, and lock herself in the sacred cavern until help arrived. So it was Maya who put the lock on there. Yes, but why did you order her to do these 2 things? If she hadn't done it, Dahlia Hawthorne would have been channeled by someone else. By one Pearl Fey. Pearls? Yes, Pearl didn't properly understand the plan, so all she was trying to do was follow her mother, Morgan Fey's instructions. If she had succeeded in channeling Dahlia Hawthorne's spirit, things would have turned out very badly, to put it mildly. So that's how it was. Dahlia Hawthorne would have used the body of Pearl Fey to kill Maya at all costs. Yes, it certainly sounds like that was the intent all along. How dare you! I won't forget this! Why not just admit it, Dahlia Hawthorne? Your little plan was nothing but a big failure. Yes, another failure to add to the pile of shame, wouldn't you say? Ooh, what do you mean by another? Think about it, Dahlia. Remember all your past crimes? Not a single one of them was a success. They all ended in failure. What? How dare you! 11 years ago, the fake kidnapping, your very first crime. You got your hands on a $2 million diamond, but after Terry Fowles escaped and went to meet with Valerie Hawthorne, the truth was exposed. Shut your mouth! That wasn't my fault. It was all because of that stupid oaf of a prisoner and that weakling of a policewoman. And then 1 year later, you tried to kill me. Well, I'm still alive, but you wound up killing someone else. As a result, you were sentenced to death. It's one stupid move after another for you, but it's no longer funny. You! Wipe that smug, happy-go-lucky smile off your face. And now this. You've messed up again. You let Maya Fey escape, even though she was right there in front of you. Grr! Grr! Ah! Mia Fey! Mia Fey! Mia Fey! Mia Fey! You spinster! I was supposed to kill Maya Fey like I swore I would. And if only you had gotten this spiky-haired jerk the guilty verdict, I wouldn't have been hanged to death. True. But I think you finally understand, Dahlia Hawthorne. You will never defeat me. What? What did you say? Whether you're alive, dead, or somewhere in between, you will never defeat me. As long as I'm around, you're destined to lose for all eternity. Grr! 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 Ugh. I remember what you said earlier in the trial. You said there was no way we could punish you, because you were already dead. What about it? Then you said, even when the body dies, the spirit, the ego, it lives on forever. That's very true, Dahlia. And that's exactly the punishment you'll never be able to escape from. For all of eternity, you'll have to remain as Dahlia Hawthorne, a miserable, pathetic, weak creature who can never win at anything. And for you, there is no escape from that, no hope of freedom. Since the day you were executed, the narrow bridge that once stretched out in front of you has burnt to a crisp. You... What? You're wrong. It can't be. How could I lose to the likes of you? It no longer matters. I don't care whether you win or lose anymore. The only thing I want is for you to come out of Maya's body right now. Yeah. I'm not ready. Not ready to go. It's a Magatama. It's Maya. Nick? Sis? Uh-oh. Everyone's just standing there looking at her. Now then, I assume you are the real Iris. Yes, I was just rescued from the sacred cavern. I must say you and your twin sister are indeed identical from what I can see. In any case, it appears that everything has finally been cleared up. Mr. Goto, what happened to Dahlia Hawthorne? If you ask me, Your Honor, it looks like she went back to the hell she came from. It seems that Misty Faye wasn't the only victim of this crime. Maya Faye, as well as the young Pearl Faye, were also victims of this wicked and selfish plan. Yes, Your Honor. The tragedy of Medium Valley has finally come to an end, it seems. It would be best for everyone if no further attempt was made to channel that spirit again. Your Honor? Yes, what is it? About this whole spirit medium thing. It's almost weird how comfortable you seem to be with the concept now. Well, to be frank, my younger brother is quite judgmental. He often criticizes me for not studying hard enough. That's why I made a concerted effort to study up on the Kurain channeling technique. Hey, isn't it the New Year's issue of Occult? I've seen quite a few things in my many years on the bench, and in all that time, I finally learned this one thing. Each case is different and takes place in its own world, if you will. In order to fully understand that world, first we have to immerse ourselves in it completely. And that's where my brother and I used to differ. Never thought of it that way. At any rate, it's time to pass judgment on the case of Iris of Hazakura Temple. Uh-oh.
Objection!
You're a little too fast with that gavel, Your Honor. What do you mean by that, Mr. Godo? This trial, it isn't over yet. That's what he means. What? Trite. Remember what Ms. Evil's spirit said in her testimony? Huh? Dahlia's testimony? I caught up with her in front of the stone lantern, then I took out the dagger and I got from the storeroom and... It's strange, but I don't have a clear memory of what happened after that. I think I was stabbed. Just as Dahlia Hawthorne was about to attack Maya, she was stabbed and killed by someone. Yes, that's right. The person that was ultimately killed was the spirit medium that channeled Dahlia. Elise Donham. No, Misty Faye. But who killed her? We still don't know who did it. This isn't over? Unless someone else is found guilty, the accused is still on trial. We can't let her walk until there's evidence that proves her innocence. No way! But this court isn't prepared for any further testimony. The prosecution is ready to call our final witness. Final witness? This one will clear up the whole mystery. The mystery of who killed Misty Faye. Indeed. Is it really alright, Mr. Prosecutor? Of course it's alright, Madam Attorney. Very well then, who is this final witness? Ha! Isn't it obvious? There's one person who saw the whole event and will put the final dagger in this case. Someone who saw the murder take place? The very person who saw her mother killed in front of her own eyes. You mean Maya? You can't. She can't testify after what she's just been through. We need to find the truth. The prosecution calls Maya Faye to the witness stand. Very well. But first, we'll take a brief recess. We'll have to wait for Ms. Faye to recover before summoning her. Once we recover the doctor's permission, we will proceed with the trial. Hey, Trite, I've got something to say to you, so listen up. What is it? I don't think much of you as a lawyer. It's always the same with you. You somehow manage to just squeak by without even a faint understanding of the case. Some beautiful woman always seems to come dashing in at the last minute to save you. You've got some nerve. But that's not going to happen this time. This time, you're going to have to do this by yourself. That's enough! This court is now in recess. February 10th, 2:56 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. I'm truly sorry about everything. You were working so hard to defend me, but I was missing all day, and we didn't even have a chance to talk. She's right. When I met Iris at the training hall yesterday, they had already switched places, and Iris was inside the sacred cavern. I wanted to at least be in the defendant's box today to root you on. Well, it wasn't your fault. You were locked up this whole time. There's something more important than that, though. I have to ask you. Why did you help your sister out as much as you did? Huh? If you had tried to get help at the sacred cavern yesterday, you wouldn't have spent an entire day locked up in there. My sister. I felt sorry for her. She was abandoned by her mother, and never got any love from our father either. Yes, but it was the same for you too, wasn't it? Yes, but at least I had Sister Bikini, who was like a mother to me. If only Dahlia had come with me to Hazakura Temple. I always loved her. Dahlia was always so smart, so strong. She never complained about a thing. That's why I promised her that I would help her. Are you talking about the fake kidnapping case 11 years ago? Yes, I wanted to be useful to her in some way. But as usual, I was too cowardly. At the last minute, I ran away. Because of that, Dahlia's half-sister, Valerie, ended up... That was the case that wounded Mia so badly. But things didn't end there, of course. Some people suspected that my sister was involved in the murder. Some people? You must mean... Yes, 2 defense lawyers. Mia Fey and Diego Armando. After poisoning Mr. Armando, who was getting too close to learning the truth, Dahlia even tried to kill the person who had unknowingly hid the poison for her. You. That's right. Iris, there's one more thing that I have to ask you. Yeah? What is it? On the night of the murder, the person that cleaned up the corpse of the victim, Elise Donham, was it really you? Yes, it was me. That night, after I rang the lights out bell, I went back to my room. At around 10:30, I received a call on my cell phone. Beep. There's a problem. Come to the inner temple right away. I got on the snowmobile and headed for the inner temple, but the path to the inner temple was cut off, right? Exactly. Beep. We can't just leave the body here. Alright, let's do this as you said. It was me. I was the one that received her body. The murder weapon had been left in her body so she wouldn't bleed too much. The staff that Mystic Elise always held. I knew it. So the actual murder weapon was the staff. Yes, that's right. I brought the body back to Hazakura Temple on the snowmobile. But why? Why did you alter the body? I didn't want anyone to know the staff was the murder weapon. I didn't want to leave anything that would lead back to Misty Faye. So I dressed her in a robe and stabbed her with a shichishito. I wiped the blood off the staff's blade and left it next to her on the ground. Iris, just tell me one last thing. Tell me the name of the person that called your cell phone. The real killer. I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I can't do it. I can't say who did it. I see. Victim staff updated in the court record. Obviously it was someone who knew her cell phone number. Defendant! Yes? The judge is calling you. He wants to see you in his chambers. He has some questions about Dahlia Hawthorne. Alright. Well then, I'll see you later. There's something I want to tell you later. Oh, okay. Something she wants to tell me? So it's true. Iris cooperated with the real killer. Maybe even from the very beginning. Phoenix. Mia. How is Maya doing? Physically, I'm not worried. She'll recover completely. But emotionally, she's been hurt very badly by this case. I see. You don't mean she's learned who Elise Donham really was? Yes. I went to the medical office and talked with her. I told her everything I knew. But why? Maya is stronger than you think. I knew she could take it. All of it. What do you mean by that? I want you to figure out that answer by yourself. The trial's about to restart. The real killer. Do you know who it is yet? Iris wouldn't tell me who called her, but still, I think that just maybe I know who it was. That night, the victim was killed in the garden of the inner temple, and the criminal wasn't just there by accident. Which means that the killer knew of Dahlia's plan from the very beginning. And one more thing. The victim was moved to the Hazakura temple side by the pendulum. In other words, the criminal couldn't cross the bridge. That means they were stuck on the inner temple side for almost an entire day. Exactly. So the criminal was someone that wasn't in a Hazakura temple the following day. That's as much help as I can give you. The rest of the battle is yours to win. Or lose. Okay, I've got it. Thank you, Mia. Finally, it's almost time to bring this case to an end. What exactly did Maya see, anyway? And who was it that actually killed Misty Faye? Whoever it was, I have to prove it. Me, all by myself. But it was only Pearls and Maya that were stuck over there that we know of. To be continued. Alright, this should be the very last part of this game. I think I'll go ahead and try and finish it tonight. February 10th, 3:36 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 7. Now then, before we proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the tests we had performed earlier. Tests? Yes, tests. And the bloody dagger that was found stuck in the pine tree. Oh yeah, that. I totally forgot about it. That's the weapon that Maya Fey used when she fought the victim. So what were the results? Was it the victim's blood, or... Due to time constraints, a full test wasn't possible. However, there's one thing we can say with certainty. The blood that was on this dagger was not the victim's blood. Okay, well that's good. That is all. Now then, let's restart this trial. So it wasn't Misty's blood on the dagger. And whose was it? Dagger updated in the court record. I'm sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close. Both sides will need to show some firm evidence with their claims. I understand, Your Honor. From what I've heard, the witness is dangerously weak, physically speaking, so let's finish this quickly. Agreed. Very well. Please bring in the last witness. Witness, please tell us your name and profession. Maya Fey. My profession is, I'm the assistant manager at Wright & Co. Law Offices. Maya. According to the magazine I have here, you're a spirit medium of the Kurain channeling technique. I'm frightened. The Fey clan. I don't want any more to do with it. Oh, Maya. The pain the Fey bloodline causes must be unbearable. Very well. Now then, Miss Fey. When the event occurred, you were in the garden of the inner temple. And you witnessed the moment Elise Donham's murder. Is this correct? I didn't see any... Straighten up this moment, young lady. Huh? Pick your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later. But Your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. there's something you can do, you can finish this. You've been watching the whole thing, right? You've seen the witness come out and you've seen us squeeze the truth out of them. Now it's your turn. Let's hear your testimony. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see happen? Witness, if you please. Yes, Your Honor. At the inner temple. I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. And I think I screamed, "Help me!" Then something warm splashed over me. That's when I lost consciousness. Something warm? So you were struck on the head? I suppose it must have been this staff. Maya, the person who hit you. It was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it? I'm sorry, Nick. I couldn't see. I don't know who it was. Maya, think hard. Sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't. Ha! Can't say it was an especially good night for young ladies to be walking around alone. It seems that it will be hard to determine the criminal through testimony alone. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your cross-examination. Maya, hang in there. She doesn't look well at all. Oh, poor Maya. Let me go ahead and save it real quick. Okay, who else was on the inner temple side that night? Well, Sister Bikini, of course, but I remember her saying that Iris would be coming later as well. On the day after the incident, Edgeworth met Bikini at Hazakura Temple. That means she couldn't be the criminal. So then, did Iris actually come later like she said? Well, let me think. She seems confused. It's probably because she's so tired. No, I'm sure I didn't see her. She must have come while I was preparing for the training. Suddenly someone struck me over the head. Who did it? Who hit you? Oh, well, I didn't see who it was. I was hit from behind. You didn't see the person? But after that, your attacker was in front of you. How could you not see who it was? Oh! Let me think for a sec. I'm sorry, I just can't remember. Maya's really having a hard time. What should I do? Let's go ahead and press. Come on, Maya, this isn't making sense. Why didn't you see this person? Well, let me think. It was, oh yeah, that's right. It was dark. That's it. It was dark? It's not good to have too much light around when someone is undergoing spiritual training. Come to think of it, there was earlier testimony to that effect as well. So it was dark in the garden on the night of the crime. Which is why she didn't see her attacker. I thought maybe she was trying to hide something, but I guess not. Judging by the testimony thus far, the identity of the attacker was most likely the spirit that was channeled by Elise Donham, Dahlia Hawthorne. Very well, please continue. What happened after you were struck on the head? I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. What happened afterwards? My attacker was in front of me, blocking off my escape. I think. You think? After getting hit like that, I was in a state of panic. There were only two things rolling around in my mind at the time. Well now, this is beginning to get interesting. So what were the two things rolling around in your mind? My name is Maya Fey. 1 + 1 = 2. You see, for some crazy reason, I was afraid I was going to lose my memory. I know it's odd considering my life was in danger, but that's how it was. That's not odd at all. Your actions are understandable given the circumstances. So, what did you do then? think I screamed, "Help me!" You think you screamed, but you're not sure? Listen, I was a complete wreck. It was dark and I couldn't see my attacker. Was it a man? A woman? An adult? A child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits. Believe me, my dear, I'm certain I would have soiled my robes. Gross. I thought this person might attack me, so I... Anyway, I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought that it was my last hope. Wow, it sounds like poor little Maya really was out of her mind. But I wonder what she meant by last hope. What do I do? Do I press her for more details? My last hope. Wait a minute, Maya. What's this my last hope stuff? What? What do you mean by your last hope? No. That's what you said. You said my last hope. Huh? What? I said what? Look, you were facing an attacker that you couldn't see, and you screamed, right? You screamed, "Help me!" Yeah. But you testified that you screamed that because you thought it was your last hope. Oh, well, you know, that's like... What do you call it when that happens? Maya's not doing so well up there. Oh yeah, Oh, that's right! I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at. What did you just say? Yeah, that's right. It was the person behind my attacker that I was yelling at. That's who I was screaming to for help. Ah! Well, what is it now? Or what is it now? I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out. Huh? Witness, are you absolutely sure of what you're saying? Behind the attacker there was another person? I meant to keep that part a secret. What have I done? Ha! It takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say. A ton of pressure. You're in a court of law here. You can't make things up or try to hide things in this chamber. Witness, the information you just presented is vital to this case. Vital to the case. I want you to add it to your testimony. I can see a man behind my attacker. By the light of the... By the light of the stone lantern? I love you. What are you doing? Yeah. Okay. I love you. Oh. You're so cute. I love you. Alright. She could see a man behind the attacker. By the light of the stone lantern, she said it was dark. A man? Who was this man? Well, you see, I couldn't see. You couldn't see? She's used this excuse twice now. Well, you know, lantern light isn't very bright. Lantern light, did you say? There's a great big stone lantern in the garden. They always light it when an acolyte is there for training, but you just said they didn't light it for training. Hey, you know what they say, under the lantern darkness reigns. So I could see the person that was further away, but not my attacker who was closer. Plus there weren't any other light sources in the garden at the time. And something warm splashed over me. You don't mean... Was it... I didn't know it at the time, but I think it was probably blood. Is she saying that's when Miss Donham, who was channeling Dahlia, was stabbed in the back by the killer? At that moment, I was paralyzed with fear. I was just sitting there in the snow. I'm sure blood got on everything all around me. That's when I lost consciousness. So, what happened next? I don't remember. How were you saved? You don't even remember that? No. I haven't got any idea. I really don't know what happened at all. That's too bad. I've worked side by side with Maya for 3 years now. When she hides something, I can tell by how she acts. And right now, I'm absolutely certain she's hiding something. What does it say about the lantern? It was not lit, okay. Let's save it. So there's a man standing behind your attacker? Yeah. That man. He's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He's the one who killed Elise Donum, otherwise known as Misty Faye, your mother. Killer? Maya. You know who killed your mother, don't you? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? To be frank, Your Honor, I think she's in shock and quite confused. That's why she hasn't noticed the huge problem with her testimony. Uh-huh? What do you mean? What problem? Maya. On the night of the crime, that stone lantern was out of commission. Uh-huh? What? It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night. No! Order! Order in the court! Mr. Godo, explain this! Add the pureness of milk to the perfect clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That is the state of the witness's mind right now. A cup of cafe au lait. Oh, Olay is how? Cafe au lait? Is that even legal? What? What? I just got it. Oh my god. Oh man, the judge. Oh. Mr. Tright's words are the milk, and you are the spoon, Your Honor. I'm a spoon? I'm no spoony bard, I'll have you know. Oh, spoony bard! What? That's a Final Fantasy joke, I think. At least that's what they always called Edward in Final Fantasy 4? The spoony bard. You silly girl. You must have noticed it too, Trite. This witness's mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that. Sorry, but that's not going to cut it. What did you say? I'll cut you. If there truly was no light in the garden, then there's a fatal contradiction in the witness's last bit of testimony. Nick. May I? Recall the witness's statement about her attacker. She said that she didn't know if it was a man or a woman, an adult or a child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker, and she quite clearly described him as a man. In other words, that would have to mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person. Despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of the attacker in front of her. No! Whack, whack, whack. Order! 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 What in the world does this all mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch black conditions?
Objection!
Trite! Do you have any idea what you're proposing? How could she have seen in the dark? There was no other light source at the scene. There are some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Godo. Maya, you did see who the killer was in the dark, and now you're trying to cover for him. Cover? For the man that killed her mother? There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is. Please, Nick, I don't know anything. Please, I'm begging you. Ha! You talk a good game, Trite, but let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff. No, Nick, don't! Please, stop! Maya is dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth. Alright, Mr. Wright, time to show us what you've got. Who was this person that you say Miss Faye saw in the darkness? Oh man, I really get to say who it was? I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming it's Godo. Because it was pitch black, Miss Faye was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes? What? But how do you propose to show us something like that? It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night. Conditions? Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights in this courtroom be turned off. This is... but it can't be. Ha! That was a nice bit of deduction. Trite. Well, everyone, this is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder. Order, order, order! Prosecutor Godo, what is the meaning of this? Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it? Ha! Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person. What do you mean by that? If you've got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night, was it 3 glowing red lights? Well, witness, answer the question. You're wrong. I never saw that. Maya! I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man. For a totally different reason. What? Witness, Mr. Wright. Stop your chattering, Your Honor. Chattering? If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Alright. Well then, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man. Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until after I woke up, but... the killer. When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit, and the body was gone. And all of the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up, too. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man. So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man. Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor. No need to apologize. It's as Mr. Godo said, you're utterly exhausted. It's only natural that you would be a little confused. Also, if you consider the situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the criminal was a man. Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination. The killer. Okay, she was just laying in the hall floor. So you lost consciousness when you were in the garden? Is that right? Yes, I think. I think it happened when the victim was stabbed. So then the person that carried you into the inner temple, it could only have been the killer. That's what I think, too. So the killer carried Maya to the inner temple. Hold on 1 second. Alright, sorry about that. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right? Yes, I think so. But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide. I don't know. It looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. I think I need to gather some more information before I ask her again. So I guess I have to go back to this one? And examine her again? I don't know. Or press again? Torches were lit and the body was gone. Torches were lit? Yes, that's how I noticed the whole scene had changed. I'm gonna say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it be? The killer probably lit them since it'd be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer go to the effort of moving the body? That's true. It's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to the killer. The only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was at the inner temple, Maya. Very well, let me hear some more about the conditions of the crime scene. All the snow had been cleaned up as well. So you're saying the killer cleaned up the snow? It looked really odd. It did look really odd. The snow was removed in an unnatural-looking rectangular shape around the lantern. There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple, but they're all really heavy. Way too heavy for me to use. An odd fellow indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take snow away? Well, there's one thing I can think of. Did you say that a lot of the victim's blood sprayed onto the snow? Yeah. The area I collapsed in ended up being splattered. In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation. Perhaps. However, there's something that's bothering me. The killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it. There was no need to remove that amount. That's true. He could have scooped up just the snow that was stained with blood. It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue, but I think this will help explain them. Since the person did all that, I assumed it was a man. So you're saying that you never saw the killer, right? Yes. But earlier you very clearly stated that you saw a man behind your attacker. Nick, I'm sorry. The killer certainly went through a lot of trouble. Moving the body by pendulum, manipulating the crime scene. But for what purpose? Why do all that? Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on. Let's do this again. Naturally the killer must have done it, right? Yes, I think so. Why would the killer tamper with the scene like that? It must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide. The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something. You did? Yes. I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence for me, for my sake. What? Hiding it for you? Everyone knew that I was the only one at the inner temple that night. If Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden, she may have thought that you had done it. No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that's why the killer cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing happened? Yes, I'm sure of it. And that's probably why he's so upset that he missed the name on the lantern. Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony. Yes, Your Honor. And maybe that's what I even have to show here. Let's see. Let's go ahead and press first. They did it for your sake? Well, if the body and the blood hadn't been removed, it would have immediately been the prime... I would have been the prime suspect, right? Yes, I suppose that's true. Yeah, and if that happened, the body would have caused some other problems too. If her real identity had come out right then, it would have been terrible. Master of Kurain killed by own daughter. I don't think Maya would have been able to handle it. But still, it's rather difficult to fathom the killer's motives. What reason is there to go through that much trouble to protect you? Okay, let's save it. Let me save it twice, because I'm always scared I'm going to accidentally save it or something. I don't know. I'm just scared of screwing it up. Oh yeah, that was right. The body of Elise Dona was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Then at the garden, the real scene of the crime. The snow that we suspected was covered in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe all this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that still seems somewhat odd. Oh, and what would that be? You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godo. It's the message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. Ugh! If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't he wipe the writing off the lantern? You're right. Order, order, order! Mr. Wright, isn't it a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene? Indeed, but it doesn't make much sense to move the body and remove the bloody snow, then not wipe off the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing. But if that's the case, do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Yes. Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern? I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's a fact that the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it. Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave the message written in blood on the lantern? He couldn't see it. Let's save it. Prosecutor Godo, earlier in this trial, you gave some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought. The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that a crime occurred here. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it. But that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that. You're right. There is no way a normal person would. What? What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright? There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether. And who would that be? Who is this person that could have failed to notice the bloody writing? It's the same person we showed earlier. Mr. Godo, this is what you said yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. You can't see everything? Is that correct, Mr. Godo? This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented. This lantern. There's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood. Nonsense! This lantern. It's as clean as a whistle. A whistle. Mr. Godo, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see, correct? You can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right. We went through this once before. During the poisoning case at Tribulations. This is the apron the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time. And somehow spilled coffee on. There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godo. Why have you not explained the blood stain to the court? Blood stain? What blood stain would that be? Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-colored stain that's smeared all over the apron. That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a blood stain. You could see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red. Ha! It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one that can't see them? So then, Mr. Godo, are you admitting it? Are you admitting that you couldn't see the red writing on the lantern? Hey, Gramps, didn't you know? That's the reason why I don't drink red tea? What? Why would anybody know that? I wasn't sure about it until now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godo is the murderer. But there's no going back now. It was in defense of someone else, though. I don't know. I finally figured out the truth. Mr. Godo, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You are the murderer of Miss Elise Donham, also known as Miss Misty Fay. It's hard to believe this may be true. However, once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you. Ha! Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on, how does a little graffiti make me into the killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written there. I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red. This is rich. Do go on, Trite. The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow. The snow? How so? Well, for example, why did the killer move all that snow? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If they wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not take out just that area? Yes, why didn't they just take that area? Ah! Could it be? Yes, the killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow. And so he had to remove all of the snow. And he couldn't be sure of where the blood had landed, so he removed the whole area. Isn't it more likely that the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark? Not a chance. The torches were all lit. They would have been able to see fine. It seems that once again this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godo? Hold it. Wait, just wait a minute. Maya! What is it, witness? Mr. Godo isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the inner temple until 2 days after the murder took place. He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up. Objection! Maya. You can't testify to something like that. Why? What do you mean? I may not look it, but I'm... Eek! After the murder happened, you didn't even exist. She didn't. She didn't? I'm afraid I don't follow. Are you senile, old man? We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh, that's right. Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please, listen to me. Maya. Do you plan to cover for Godo no matter what the cost? Hold on one second. Alright, sorry about that. If that's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we should not silence her. Ha! Nicely done, Trite. Very well, let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the Inner Temple after the murder. Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling, and my spirit left me, as it were. But that little girl was there at the Inner Temple, too. After the incident. Pearlie was also stuck on the Inner Temple side that night. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godo arrived at the Inner Temple for the first time. He found Pearlie first, and then cheered her right up. Who is this Pearlie? That's my little cousin, Pearl Faye. So when did you hear about this? Oh, just a while ago, when I was in the medical office. I'm terribly sorry. But what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. What? Come on! Pearlie would never tell a lie. She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath. Ha! The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness. Mr. Godo? Let's just move on to the cross-examination, if the defense has no objections. This is highly unusual, but... Well, Mr. Wright? Let's get this cross-examination started. Okay, she was also stuck. So where do you think Pearl slept that night? In the spare prep room next to the training hall, I guess. There's a rule that you can't enter the training hall during an acolyte's training. But even so, why did she go to the Inner Temple in the first place? It seems that Pearls became very worried about Maya. She knew that the spiritual training I was about to undergo was very intense. Pearls was supposed to channel Dahlia Hawthorne, but she couldn't do it. That's why she headed to the Inner Temple. However, Dahlia Hawthorne was already there, possessing the body of Elise Donham. The next morning she looked around but couldn't find anyone. She searched the entire Inner Temple side end to end? Well, you see, Pearlie gets pretty scared when she's alone, and there aren't many places to look. She says that she even went back and forth several times. The Inner Temple side has two structures, the training hall and a spare prep room. And there's also a storage shack, I think. That's about it. There was a storage shack too? Pearls was looking for other people, right? Would she have really examined a storage shack all that carefully? Well, if it was me, that would be the first place I would investigate. So that means it's possible that someone may have been hiding in the storage shack. Okay, when the bridge was fixed, she was in the spare room. Pearls didn't hear the sound of them working on the bridge. What do you mean? I was just wondering why she would stay in the prep room. If it was me, I'd at least go out and wait at the foot of the bridge. Oh, well, Pearlie said she was sleeping at the time. She said she was so scared during the night that she couldn't sleep well and woke up a bunch of times. Poor little girl, all alone like that. Well, we know that she had at least one friend in the Sacred Cavern. Dahlia Hawthorne, he was busy battling with the trick lock. She couldn't let anyone see her, so she wouldn't have shown herself to Pearls. What happened after the bridge was finally fixed? It's when Godo arrived at the Inner Temple for the first time. So it was your first time on the Inner Temple side, Mr. Godo. Hmm? That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the defense ask me a question? Mr. Wright, please save your questions for the witness. What you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor. Touché, Mr. Wright. Oh well. What do you have to say, Mr. Godo? Hot nights and even hotter coffee. That's what I always say. If it hadn't been for this case, I never would have visited there. A freezing cold temple in the mountains. I think I'll pass. So he had never visited Hazakura Temple or the Inner Temple? Ha! You want to say something, Trite? In any case, I have to find a crack in Godo's armor. While I cross-examine Maya, that is. Very well, please go on with your testimony. After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the Inner Temple side, right? Yes, then Mr. Godo found Pearly and cheered her right up. He cheered her up? And that's what Pearly said. She said he was a very nice, older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godo. And here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict. Ha! Cut it out. You're making me blush. This guy's really beginning to get on my nerves, in more ways than one. The truth is, there aren't many places to look on the Inner Temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with fine-toothed combs. So I decided to carry out an investigation in my own way, Godo style. I'm the same way. I like to hand down my verdicts in my own way, judge style. Maybe I should ask some questions Phoenix style.
Why do you think their names are style?
They're just, because that's their own style. So I guess this is my style as well, Phoenix style. Let's see. Cheering Pearls up. So you cheered Pearls up? When I found that little girl, the first thing she asked about was her cousin, Maya Fey. Really? The bridge had burned down and she was huddled up in that tiny shack with no heat. Even though she must have had a truly terrifying night out there, she asked about you before she had said a thing about herself. Pearly, I noticed that you weren't anywhere in the Inner Temple side, but I couldn't find it in me to tell her that. So I gave her my last cup of coffee with milk and sugar to hide the bitterness of the harsh truth. What a sweet story. Sniffle. He had a thermos of coffee? Why didn't that surprise me? There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godo when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the Inner Temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elise Dono. Pearly was also stuck on... Oops, no, I don't want to present. Let's ask about the other thing. His investigation. Bring, bring. Godo's investigation. You said that you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything? It looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, Trite. After all, I did miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Well, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles. The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Misty Fey, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Western tastes? Could he find a stranger way to describe gravy? So from there you headed for the prep room? Wait a sec. What did Godo say just now? I think I just found a proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godo when the murder was taking place? He must have already had been at the Inner Temple when it happened. Okay. Is it this? Oh, he wouldn't have known who it was. Because it was already covered in gravy. How would he know it was Misty? I can't present it. Ugh. Well, I'm glad I saved it. Mr. Rig. Maybe I do it at the other statement where she said it was his first time. Yeah. Mr. Godo. The first time he crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the Inner Temple was long before the murder took place. Why do you say that? Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall. Hanging scroll? But Mr. Godo is right. That scroll shows a picture of my mother. Maya, I know you know who it is, but here's something you didn't know. By the time the bridge had been repaired, 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this. What's that wonderfully delicious smell? The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy. Gravy? But why gravy, Nick? Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godo, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was Misty Faye. Hold it. Wait a minute, Nick. Yes? Take another look at the hanging scroll. Look, at the top. There's a crest there. Oh, that. It's the mark of the master, correct? Exactly. So if you know the meaning of that mark, then you could guess that it was a picture of Misty Faye on there. True, but Mr. Godo described what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western taste. Oh. Yes, it's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he couldn't have known that what she was wearing was Japanese clothing. Mr. Godo, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the Inner Temple long before the crime took place. Can I ask you just one little thing, Trite? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed. That's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime scene. Of course, Mr. Godo knew about the plan. Huh? What did you say? Is it really possible that another person knew of the plan? What? This, maybe? This crime was actually planned over a year ago. Morgan Fay authored the plan for her daughter's future. And these instructions were hidden somewhere in Fay Manor for a year. However, by the time little Pearls found these instructions, they had already been unsealed. Unsealed? Yes, the killer had read these instructions long before Pearl ever found them. That's how he knew the crime was to take place at the Inner Temple. And you're saying this crafty killer is me? You bet I am. But you just said that the instructions were hidden. That's right. Mr. Godo couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden. If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out. Yes, and when was that? During a visit. A visit? Morgan Fay told her daughter Pearl about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden. Eavesdropping on a visit at the detention center? Yes, it could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Like for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Godo. Order, order, order! Mr. Godo, you're under fire again. This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you were the only one that could have acquired this information before the murder. Humans are afraid of the dark, and yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee. Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean? It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped on a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the inner temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all of that just to protect this witness? That's right. If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her. I am what you see. I am certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress. The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness's life. His behavior is still a little too unnatural. However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godo? An unshakable reason that forced you to protect this witness at all costs. I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick? Maya. I guess you were doing your best to cover for Godo. For the same reason, huh? Okay, Trite. I'm all ears. Let's hear it. It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you. What's this? There's one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you to Maya Fey together inextricably. Let's go ahead and save. There's a very good reason with Maya Fey's life why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Mia Fey's only sister. Mia Fey. You once worked alongside her. That was when you were a defense attorney. Wait a second here. Mr. Godo is a defense attorney? With your honor's piercing intellect, you must have figured it out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godo. His real name is Diego Armando. Isn't that right? The last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago. Diego Armando. That name rings a bell. It should, Your Honor. All of this is related to a single case. A case in which a convict named Terry Fowles killed himself. Mia Fey's first time in court, the tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. She knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, a senior defense lawyer in the office where Mia worked. It's my fault. It's all my fault that Mr. Fowles killed himself. Mia, you can't cry yet. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. I was moved by her. The way she put all her faith in her clients, that pure, sweet heart of hers. That's why I could never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Mia and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. Then one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial. We met in the courthouse cafeteria. Ugh! I just remembered. 6 years ago, right here in this courthouse, you were poisoned. Even I didn't see it coming. Dahlia Hawthorne slipped some poison into my coffee. Some newspapers at the time called it a murder, but very little information about the case was released to the press. But you weren't dead at all. No official reports ever actually called it a murder. It was just in a deep, deep coma. I was just in a deep, deep coma. I see. My body shut down and my life became nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight, and all of my hair turned white due to the damage it caused. That's terrible. Apparently it was a miracle that I ever regained consciousness. 5 years had passed since I drank that poison brew. Then one morning my eyes flew open from the smell of a doctor's cup of coffee. 5 years? You were asleep for 5 years? And the worst possible news was waiting for me. Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I had already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I loved had been murdered. And the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death. The woman you loathed? The woman who had spiked my scalding hot coffee, Dahlia Hawthorne. Ha! Good old Mia. She didn't let me down. What, baby?
I don't know why Coda always talks about Dahlia Hawthorne.
Dahlia Hawthorne. She was a bad person. She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up. That's so sad. For someone like me, for someone who had slept away their best days, there were only 2 reasons left to live. And it was for those 2 reasons that I decided to become a prosecutor. If I may ask, what were your 2 reasons to live? The first was you, Trite. Huh? Me? If I hadn't drank that stupid poison, Mia Fey never would have died, much less the way she did. You were the only one who was there to protect her, but you would let her die. It was all your fault. It wasn't like that. I wanted to see for myself what kind of a man you really were. So that's why you became a prosecutor. My other reason for living, she goes by the name of Maya Fey. Huh? You mean me? You were the only way I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia. 1 year ago, when the Kurain Village incident was resolved, it was obvious that Morgan Fey was planning something. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. My role as prosecutor put me in the perfect position to do something about her. That's how you overheard Pearl's visit with Morgan at the detention center. I knew that the time was drawing near. Since I knew the plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that, I could keep that girl from being caught up in it. That makes sense. If Pearls had known that the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, she never would have helped out. Finally, the day of the plan was drawing near. I contacted both of my accomplices. Accomplices? Iris of Hazakura Temple and Misty Faye. I especially needed the help of Iris. She was to take the fall in my backup plan in case we couldn't control Pearl Faye. But how did you contact my mother? She had been missing for almost 20 years. Officially, yes. What? What do you mean, officially? You've heard about it, haven't you? About the strong ties between the main family and the government? Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. She said that the Master of Kurain had great authority. Even without her official position, Misty Faye still wielded great influence. The police have been keeping an eye on her movements all this time. That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor. So my mother was cooperating with you? Don't ever forget. No matter how far away from you she was, she never stopped thinking about you. She was always... That's why I knew she would do anything to protect you. If you want to know how strong her resolve to protect you was, look at her staff. Her staff? The one with the sword in it? The day the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time at Hazakura Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. I realized it then just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan Faye if necessary. Yes, even if it meant paying the ultimate price. Mother. That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan. You mean pearls? You mean pearls, don't you? We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne. Well, Pearl, what are you going to do tonight? Well, if you'd like, you can come to my room. Perhaps we can read some books together. We thought we could prevent her from playing her part in Morgan's plan, but she never showed up. She was worried and followed me to the inner temple. That was the thing we were most afraid of, and that's why Misty Faye had to do the channeling herself. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne into her own body. What? What do you mean? If she channeled the spirit first, then Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself. As Master of Kurain, Misty Faye's power was supreme. So that's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne so that Pearl Faye wouldn't be able to. What? What? Is this true? My role in the plan was to make sure no one was going to hurt Maya Faye. That's why I hid myself at the inner temple, just in case you needed to be saved from Dahlia Hawthorne. Godo. Anyway, that's all I'm going to admit to. Trite. Huh? There's no doubt about it, you're a great defense lawyer, but you're going to have to do the rest yourself. The background leading up to this incident has been laid bare. There's just one question remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim? There are only two possible suspects right now. Maya Faye, and I'm sad to say, you, Mr. Godo. Well, Trite, if you're the real deal, then finish this thing once and for all. Show us beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can finish this on your own. No, Nick, please don't. Maya, I heard the whole thing from my sister in the medical office. That's why I had to protect Mr. Godo. I can't do it. I can't testify against him. After all, he's the man who put his life on the line to protect Mia, and me too. Maya, I know that. Nick. But even so, it doesn't absolve him of his crime. Please, Maya, testify. Miss Faye, your testimony, please. This is the final testimony. Don't bother trying to hide anything, because I'll know. I want to hear the truth from your own lips. I understand. I'm sure you're right. I'm ready now, Nick. Alright, young lady, tell us about the moments before you lost consciousness. What exactly happened at the time of the murder? Time of the murder. Just before it happened, I think I saw some red lights. 3 of them. Let me go ahead and save real quick. You're so cute. I thought I'd ask for help, but just then I was splattered with blood. She wasn't dead though, and she struck back at the enemy behind her. Suddenly the red lights went out and the whole area was dark. Just at that moment there was a horrible scream. Right after that, Dahlia collapsed and I lost consciousness. These red lights. I thought you said you don't remember seeing them. I'm sorry. I thought I saw them, but then they disappeared all of a sudden. Ha! Things break, Trite. Even the best of theories. Who was it that stabbed Misty Faye? It looks like you still can't prove it. Maya is telling the truth this time, I know it. The rest is up to me. Well then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your final cross-examination of the witness. Alright. Lights shining in the dark? I don't think you can make a mistake about that. Yeah, you're right. I think I saw them, but I can't say for certain. And I can't tell you for sure if they were from Mr. Goto's mask, either. I don't get the feeling she's covering for him anymore, but let's go ahead and press. But just after that, you turned towards the lights and called for help. Isn't that because you thought the lights were coming from Mr. Goto's mask? Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that's what it was. That's what I was thinking at the time. But I can't remember. After all, there was a person I couldn't identify in front of me. Maya's life was in terrible danger at the time. There's no way she can remember the details of the scene perfectly. Alright then, let's go on with the testimony. What did you do when you saw the red lights? I thought I'd ask for help, but just then I was splattered with blood. That blood, was it Dahlia Hawthorne's blood? I think so. Probably. Just at that moment, I heard a soft scream that seemed to be close by. It was a woman's voice. So that was when the killer stabbed the victim from behind with a murder weapon. Is that right? Without a doubt, Maya was in the middle of a really dangerous situation. Anyway, the victim was stabbed by the murder weapon. What happened after that? She wasn't dead though. She struck back at the enemy behind her. Struck back? How do you know that? Well, you're right. I didn't see it exactly. But I could tell by the sounds of their breathing and movement. And also the smell of blood. You have witnessed more horror than any young lady should ever have to in one life. So then, what did you do at that point? I couldn't move. I could just barely make out their shadows moving in the dark, but I had no idea what to do. Could you still see the red lights you mentioned earlier? Yes, I think so, but... Suddenly the red lights went out and the whole area was dark. They went out? Yes, suddenly I couldn't see them at all. What could it mean? If the red lights were coming from Goto's mask, and they went out right in the middle of a fight, maybe the mask was damaged. Or maybe it was knocked off. Or maybe the batteries ran out, right, Trite? Or maybe those little red pinhead-looking lights just stopped working. What could have really happened then? Just at that moment, there was a horrible scream. Like that? Nah. What do you mean by just at that moment? Do you mean the moment when the red lights went out? Yes, that's right. The scream that you heard then, was it Dahlia Hawthorne? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was a man's voice. Whoa, 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 whoa. What? So then the scream came from the killer? That's got to be it. I think Dahlia Hawthorne must have taken the blade and attacked the killer with it. And the killer let out a scream of pain, huh? After that, the killer stole the blade back and delivered the final blow, I guess. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems to make sense to me. It sounds like a reasonable deduction, but I still kind of wonder. Let's see, there's a contradiction. I'm sorry to say this, but that interpretation would create an enormous contradiction. That makes sense. After all, my deductions are almost certainly never correct. Remember the testimony she gave. Before the killer let out a scream, Maya said she had already been splattered by the victim's blood. In other words, the blade and the staff had already been plunged into the victim. Is that right? She couldn't have struck back with a sword that was already stuck in her body. The weapon that caused the killer to let out a scream must have been something other than the staff. If you're so sure about that, then don't keep us waiting any longer, trite. There's only one thing I can think of that could have been used as the weapon here. If Dahlia Hawthorne had already been stabbed in the back by the staff, what could she have used to strike back at the killer? The Shichishito... No, I'm just kidding. Naturally, the dagger that the killer brought to the scene of the crime. Oh, that's right, I forgot about that. This dagger was found at the crime scene, stuck into a pine tree. Yes, the detective found that this morning and brought it to me. Dahlia Hawthorne struck back at the killer with this, and she managed to wound him as well. Objection. Just because he let out a scream doesn't mean that he was wounded. For all we know, the blood on the dagger could have been from the victim. But we already know it's not from the victim, you dummy. Have you forgotten that the blood has already been tested? Since we learned it wasn't the victim's blood, it must be the killer's blood. The killer must have a wound somewhere on his body. Yes, let's find it, please. So you're saying the blood in this dagger belongs to the killer? Exactly. A DNA analysis of the blood would prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. And yes, Mr. Goto, it would prove that it's your blood. Nice theory, trite. Order! Order in the court! Is this the end? Have I done it? Even he won't be able to change the results of a scientific test. Ha! Let me ask you something, trite. Let's just say that it turned out that I was the killer. Do you really think I would be stupid enough to leave evidence like that? What? Just think for a second. This dagger was found this morning by a detective and brought to me. There was already a bloodstain on it, correct? But even so, I was the one who brought this dagger here to the courtroom. Yes, what does that prove? Well, if I really were the killer, I could have washed the bloodstain of the blade off and then planted another person's blood on it. It can't be. In any case, there's one thing I can guarantee, trite. That blood, it doesn't belong to me. Not a chance. What? In any event, it seems to be established that the killer was wounded. Alright then, witness, continue your testimony. Wait a minute. What's the problem? I know I probably shouldn't say this, but there's a big contradiction in Nick's explanation. Maya? This dagger. You said it was that it wounded the killer. That's right. But if Mr. Goto had really been cut with the dagger, his clothes would be bloody or have a rip in them, right? Maya? Maybe he just changed his clothes. That solved the contradiction pretty easily. What are you talking about? It's not that simple at all. Remember back to the day of the murder? Everyone that was on the inner temple side got trapped there. That's right. And once the bridge was fixed, the police headed for the inner temple. Mr. Goto was already there, waiting for them. He never had a chance to change his clothes. Order in the court! Well, maybe he brought a change of clothes with him. But no one could have predicted the lightning strike that shut down the bridge. Why would anyone have brought a change of clothes? Did the judge take smart pills during the last recess? Well then, maybe the killer took off his clothes before he committed the murder. That way he wouldn't get any blood on them. That's impossible, Trite. You know how cold it gets up there late at night. After a few minutes with no clothes on, you'd be frozen solid. Ha! So that's all you've got. I knew you weren't tough enough to finish this. Right now, if Mia Fey were here, she would have closed the book on this case already. If Mia Fey were here. So come on, Trite, can you do it or not? How about it, Mr. Wright? You've accused Mr. Goto of being the killer, but can you prove it? Have you got even one piece of evidence? The question isn't whether I can prove it or not. The fact is, I have to prove it. It's the only choice I have. I was taught that it's one of the rules of being a lawyer. I can prove it. I'm going to bring your magnificent vengeance to fruition, just as you wanted. Ha! That's good. A fighter till the bitter end, Trite. Since there's just one piece of evidence that can prove your point, why don't we go for the unlimited penalty? Are you trying to pressure me, Mr. Goto? Because it doesn't matter to me. I've got the one piece of evidence I need. Give me a break. You've got nothing, Trite. So what do I do at a time like this? It's simple. I've got to think outside the box and approach this from a different angle. Alright then, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you've got. There's one thing I've demonstrated in the previous cross-examination. The killer was wounded. That was proven by the blood on the dagger. But we decided it was impossible for him to have had such a wound. If he had been cut by a dagger, there should have been a bloodstain on his clothing. There's one place the killer could have hidden his wound. What did you say? Hidden? This is it, my last stand. I need to think about this from a different angle. I don't need to think about why there were no bloodstains on his clothing. I need to show how he hid the wound. It's the end of the line. The final stop, Trite. Let's hear what you've got. Where's this location you say the killer hid his wound? Oh. What? Hold on a second, let's save it. How would I show that in the evidence? do I show evidence of this? I have no idea. Ha! I don't know what you're talking about, and frankly I don't need to know. You'll never be half the lawyer she was. Isn't that right, Trite? What was that just now? Mia? It can't be. You're living on through him? Even as we speak, you're still hiding the wound. I think it was like if I chose anything, this was gonna happen. It's beneath your mask. During the fight, the red lights given off by the killer suddenly disappeared. Yay, Renfrew is coming home, but we're almost done. This should be the end here. Seconds later, the killer let out a scream. That's right, your mask went flying off your face. Mr. Goto, would you mind removing your mask? If you have a dagger wound under there somewhere, then I'd say this whole case is solved. Oh god. Oh! He like sneezed and an explosion happened.
He's gonna take off his mask.
Just now, I saw her spirit in you. I never liked you. 6 years ago, you helped the woman who put me to sleep by hiding her bottle of poison. And then, while I was sleeping, you let Mia die. But you didn't care. You just kept living your pathetic, happy-go-lucky life. You even had the nerve to follow in her footsteps as a lawyer. I can never forgive you. That's what I thought, Mr. Goto. But I was wrong about you. I knew it from the very beginning. The truth is, the only person I could never find it in my heart to forgive was me. You? Yourself? I was the one that failed to protect Mia. Me and no one else. I tried to avert my eyes from the truth, to escape from the harshness of reality. I just couldn't face Mia's death head on, so I ran. I hid behind a mask. I threw away my true name. I couldn't even deal with being a defense attorney anymore, so I quit. But you saved Maya! Yeah, that was my plan. Up until just now, anyway. What do you mean? Are you listening, Maya? If I had really wanted to save you, then there's one person that I should have gone and talked to right away. Who would that be? Are you talking about Nick? But I didn't do it. I tried to get the help of Iris and your mother, but I closed my eyes to the most important man involved. You know why? The real reason? No, why? I suppose I wasn't really interested in saving you at all. Huh? I think I was trying to salvage what's left of my own broken soul. I was trying to make up for the fact that I couldn't save Mia. Nothing more. That's why I let you walk right into a situation that I knew was dangerous. Forgive me. You're wrong. You put your life on the line to save Maya. Was it really for Maya's sake? Even I'm not really sure. What do you mean by that? That night in the darkness of the garden, when I saw her silhouette. A part of me must have known the truth. The truth that it wasn't really Dahlia Hawthorne standing there in front of me. It could have been Misty Faye, or even that little girl. But I still picked up the blade. It was like I was dreaming. I'm not sure exactly what was going on in my mind at that point. Was I really motivated by the pure desire to protect Maya Fey? Or was it something else? Was it my hatred for a woman who had stolen everything from me 6 years earlier? Could it have been simply a desire for revenge? And now? I don't know anything anymore. I did learn something today, however. I finally realized that I was the arrogant one. I was just chasing an illusion, a fantasy. The stupid fantasy of defeating you in the courtroom. You were the one who made me realize my folly. You never ran away from Mia's death. Instead, you picked up where she left off, as a true defender of the people. In that one moment, I understood everything. Mr. Godo. I think you already know this, but if you don't, my name is Diego Armando. Mr. Armando, I believe in you. I know you were trying to save me. Thanks. Your wound, it's bleeding. Ha! Did you forget already? In my world, the color red doesn't exist. These must be my tears. Tears? Ever since I woke up from my coma, I think I've been waiting for this very moment. Mr. Armando. You do well to remember this, Maya. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. This time, it really is all over, isn't it? Defendants. Yes, Your Honor. Although you weren't directly involved in the murder, tampering with the body in the crime scene is a serious offense in itself. I understand, Your Honor. Mr. Armando explained to me very carefully. I knew the risk, and I willingly cooperated anyway. Very well. Before I hand down my verdict, is there anything you'd like to say? Well, there is one thing. I'd like to say something to Mr. Wright. I want to apologize to you. Apologize? To me? For what? For the case 6 years ago, of course. I just remembered. Weren't you poisoned by your own lover? Not exactly, but yeah, something like that. Even now, 6 years later, I can hardly believe it. She was going to do it. She was planning to kill me. It's not all that surprising. The two of you hardly knew each other. Huh? What do you mean? You and my sister, you only met twice. Huh? We only met twice? The first time you met was on that fateful day. The day she poisoned Mr. Armando in the cafeteria of this very courthouse. The next time you met her was 6 months later. You met her again on the day that she stole your cold medicine. And Doug Swallow was killed. No way! It can't be true. I mean, during our whole relationship, we were... For those 6 months, the woman that you thought was Dahlia Hawthorne wasn't actually my sister. Huh? It wasn't Dahlia? I hope one day you can forgive me, Feeny. You mean... That's right. I lied to you. For 6 months. But why? Why would you do such a thing? The judge isn't even involved in this. Ever since she gave you the bottle that day, my sister was trying to get it back as soon as she possibly could. Because of the police investigation and their surveillance. She couldn't move about freely. So that's why you... My sister, from the beginning, she was prepared for the worst. Prepared for the worst? She thought that you might somehow discover the truth. That's why she was always ready to deal with you at a moment's notice. You mean she was ready to kill me? She already had so much to answer for. I didn't want any more sins on her soul. I begged her not to do it, and she agreed to give me a chance. And that's why you came to me? You came to get the bottle pendant back from me in her place? But I couldn't get you to give it back. I failed at something even as simple as that. 6 months passed, and I still couldn't get it back from you. Finally, my sister couldn't wait any longer. She didn't consult me about her plans for you that day. It was the first time that had ever happened. That was a bit strange, wasn't it? Up until that day, you two were partners in crime, and she would confer with you. I think she must have noticed. Noticed what? My feelings for you. If I had found out she was planning to kill you, I would have done whatever was necessary to stop her. Even if it meant her life. Or mine. Iris. After spending half a year by your side, my feelings towards you, they changed. I have something to say to you too. Yes? You really are the person I always thought you were. Even after Dahlia Hawthorne was found guilty, I still believed in you. Thank you. This ending is very long. How many cups of darkness have I drank over the years? Even I don't know. I'll tell you though. Right now, this one here is the greatest cup I think I've ever had. Don't you think so, Phoenix Wright? Oh! Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. The purpose of this trial was to rule on the murder of the victim Elise Donham. At some point I expect you will be tried for your role as an accomplice in this case. I understand, Your Honor. Very well. On the charge of murder, I hereby find the defendant not guilty. Yay! Court is now adjourned. Oh, it didn't do the whole fanfare with the confetti in the courtroom. February 10th, 4:51 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. So I guess it's all over. The way everything ended, was justice really served? The man who risked his life to save Maya is being sent to prison by my own hand. Of course justice was served. Mamma mia! I'm proud of you, Phoenix. Your defense was truly brilliant, but I couldn't save Mr. Armando. The man who cared so deeply for you. You're wrong, Phoenix. You did save Diego. You saved him in the only way possible. You mean, with that verdict? I think one day you'll understand, too. Phoenix, I want you to remember one thing. You were as good out there today as any defense lawyer could ever hope to be. There's nothing more you can learn from me. Mia, you've accomplished something I wasn't able to. I owe you a great deal. Thank you. Mia, I'm sure we'll meet again, someday, Phoenix. I've handled lots of cases and seen a lot of things, and along this journey I found myself asking just one question. What does it really mean to defend someone? I suppose today's case produced one possible answer. Maya, I guess it's just like my sis said. Your sister, Mia? That night when I channeled Mia to get her advice on what to do, this is what she wrote back in my notebook. Don't worry, Phoenix will save everyone in the end. But... Come on, cut it out with that gloomy face. Can't you see? Me, sis, and I'm sure Iris too, we owe you for everything you've done for us, Nick. Maya? How? How can you be so bright and chipper after all that's happened? You were brutally attacked. You even saw your mother murdered. Youch! Franziska! Still as softy as always, Phoenix Wright. Excellent work, Wright. Huh? Mr. Edgeworth? When did you get back? Oh, that's right. I guess no one filled her in on that. Edgeworth and Franziska have actually been helping me. Helping you? And if these two hadn't been there on the first day of the trial, the defense wouldn't have gotten anywhere. Wow. But where were you, Nick? I heard he fell into a river and caught a nasty cold which forced him to sleep all day. Yes, he laid in bed shivering from his fever with Iris's hood pulled over his head. Oh, ouch. Talk about embarrassing, Nick. You definitely need more training. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. And you too, Franziska. I don't suppose... Oh my god. Larry. Living like Larry. There's room for me in this group hug, is there? Oh, Larry. What's with the, longer than usual face? I realized something when I was reborn. I realized that Larry was never of any use to anyone. Not even once. That's not true, right, Nick? What? You're asking me? Well, Nick, is it true? I've got a place in this world, right? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I knew it. Everyone would be better off if I were gone for good. No. Oh yeah. Those portraits he painted, they were really good. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? What? Me? Why are you making that face? Huh, Edgy? Oh, well, yes, indeed. I certainly can't say that it's lacking resemblance. Do you really mean it? What about you, Francie? Did I draw you well, too? Wah! My beauty can't possibly be captured by a mere crayon. Glare. Nevertheless, I recognize the effort you put into it, and that's worth something. So then you'll do it like you promised? You're going to model for my next picture book, Francie's Whiplash Splash? Don't get carried away. Well, how about that? I guess painting portraits is the only thing I'm good at. The painting of Pearl was pretty darn good too, if you ask me. Huh? Now that you mention it, I haven't seen her around. Pearls? Where could she have gone? Well, she was Mia for a minute. Normally she would have made a beeline for Maya. Oh, I'll go look for her. Be right back. Hey, Pearly! Right. You seem to be uncharacteristically puzzled. I suspect you're wondering how Maya could be so cheerful despite all that has happened. Yeah. To be honest, I can't understand it either. Franziska. That's right, she lost her father fairly recently as well. I think I understand how she feels. Maya is a much wiser person than she appears, and I think she realizes something. Now is exactly the time when she needs to be as strong as she can. What do you mean by now is exactly the time? Maya wasn't the only one that was badly wounded by this incident. In fact, there was someone that was hurt far more deeply than she. I believe it's for that person that Maya is trying her best not to cry. Someone who was hurt more deeply than Maya? Edward, I think I'm starting to understand too. Ow! Then tell me, Phoenix Wright, who is Maya Fey being strong for? Probably Pearl? Pearl Fey. The poor kid, after all, the reason that she worked so hard to follow the instructions was because she loved and believed in her mother, Morgan. It's for the good of the Fey clan. I'm sure she believed in every last word. She thought she was doing it for Maya. That's why she was so happy. It shows how truly devoted she is to Maya. But it's a cruel irony that it was her exuberance that led to this tragedy. Maya Fey's mother was killed, and Maya herself was put into the deepest peril imaginable. And that's exactly why Maya is putting on a brave face. She's doing it for Pearls' sake. Until she can see her smile again. Oh, hey! So this is where you all were. Wow, looks like we've got quite the bunch. Youch! What was that for, sir? Sorry about that, Scruffy. My whip just seems to have a mind of its own. What's up, Detective Gumshoe? Oh, you know, this and that. Anyway, congrats on your win. Let's go out tonight, pal. Dinner's on me. My salary's just sorta kinda gone down by a teeny weeny bit, but that's alright. I made a reservation at a first-class French restaurant tonight. Ugh! Pretty good work, Scruffy. That whip was your reward. Detective Gumshoe? You said a first-class French restaurant. You don't mean... Tribulations! Where else? I knew it. We're doomed. Come on, let's go everyone. Can't keep Maggie waiting, pal. Hey, you, Crybaby, you're invited too. Oh, forget about me. Pearl and I will be at the loser's shack eating potatoes. You know, Maya's taking an awfully long time to get back. She's still out looking for pearls. Oh, Maya, what's wrong? Nick, what do I do? Pearlie, I can't find her anywhere. Huh? I'll bet she just went back home. That's all. I thought so too, so I called the village, but no one has heard from her. This has never happened before. As I figured, she's been badly hurt by this incident. She feels responsible for the tragedy that has befallen you, Maya. But none of this was her fault. What should I do? Detective Gumshoe. Yeah, what is it, pal? Could you guys go on ahead? But what about you? Maya and I we'll join you guys once we find pearls. Nick! Don't worry about us, Detective Gumshoe. We may be a little late, but we'll definitely be there. We have a lot of celebrating to do tonight, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. Yeah, but you're... Ugh! Very well, Phoenix Wright. We'll go on ahead. Don't keep us waiting, Wright. We won't. But where should we look? Where could Pearlie have gone? Let's go, Maya. There's only one place I can think of that pearls might have gone to.
I was right.
Yeah, you were right. February 10th, Hazakura Temple main gate. Hazakura Temple. For pearls, I bet this is a very important place. After all, it's where this whole incident started. What's this? You're all back again so soon? Sister Bikini? I thought we'd be eating mashed potatoes alone tonight. So she's here? Pearlie is here? She's in the training hall. Why don't you hurry along and go see her? Okay. Gosh, this ending is so long. Pearlie's not here. Ah, Maya! The hanging scroll. Ah! Someone's cleaned it off. It's got to be pearls. Ah! Missing Maya! Pearlie! Why? Why did you just leave like that? Mystic Maya! Mystic Maya! I swore that I would never trouble the two of you ever again. Because it's all my fault that Mystic Maya's mother... That's why you came here? It's the least I could do to pray for your happiness. You don't have to do that, Pearlie. It wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Of course I'm sad that my mother is gone, but how do I say this? I'm still happy. You don't have to lie just to make me feel better. No, really. It's true. The only reason I'm still here at all is thanks to everyone who was there for me. My sis, my mother, Mr. Armando, Nick, and you. If even one of you weren't there, I'm sure I wouldn't still be alive right now. That's why I have to be strong. For all the people that were there for me when I needed them. That's all I can really do. But Mystic Maya... I'm impressed. You truly are the daughter of Mystic Misty. Sister Bikini. Your mother, Mystic Misty, was a strong woman indeed. I want to tell you what she said to me that night. After dishonoring the good name of Kurain, I don't have the right to face my daughter. But still, Maya is always in my thoughts. It's true, she'll always be with me until the day I die. Your spirit was with her. That's why your mother was so strong. Even at the end, I'm sure she had no regrets. No regrets. She'll always be with me until the day I die, huh? There's a rule or something all masters are to follow, isn't there? To never take the charm off until the day you die. That's the master's talisman. The thing that Misty kept by her heart and would never take off. It wasn't the container that was important. Rather, it was the contents. That's... a photo? Ah! Look. Mother... It's only natural for living creatures to fight to protect their own lives. But what makes us human is that we fight for others. But who do you fight for? How hard must you fight? That's the true measure of what human life is worth. We defense attorneys are warriors who constantly challenged by that question. Oh no! It was Mia that broke it. Even when the battle is over and the bonds that connect us are severed, we always return, time and time again. Mia, Maya, Pearls, Mr. Armando, and Maya's mother too. I learned that from all of them. Oh, poor Maya. Well, shall we get going? Everyone is waiting. Ugh! This is a day to remember. A day when a lot of things were finally put to rest. I think we should celebrate that what we've overcome today. But I still can't. Oh, go on, sweetie. You can come back for training anytime. Okay. Alright, I'm going to make a brand new start too. Sister Bikini, I'll be back for more training. I promise. I know, and I won't go easy on you just because you're the future master. I'll make sure to prepare reservations for 3 for when you come back. Wow! Hee hee! Alright, we're going to have a great feast today, Pearly. You know why? Because training is a battle of endurance. Okay, Mystic Maya, I'll eat lots and lots of food tonight. You know, there's one thing I don't get. I probably don't want to, but... what is it, Nick? Reservations for training is fine and all, but why for 3? Come on, what do you think? You're one of us, Nick. Next time you can train right alongside us. Huh? I'll be waiting for you. Sister Bikini will take special care of you. Huh? Huh? It'll be great, Nick. We're going to do the special course, naturally. Huh? 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 That's a great idea. After all, Nick, Mr. Nick, you'd do anything for Mystic Maya, wouldn't you? Even walk on hot coals, right? We'll have a nice big meal before we come next time, right, Nick? You know, I was wondering if I could say just one little thing. Sure, of course you can. Oh, I love this part. I can't wait to hear it. I'm getting goosebumps too. Well then, here goes nothing. Objection! Gosh, it's finally over. That ending was 30 minutes long. Sorry, Ran Puma. I'll really have to work extra hard now. Master Kurain and the office manager of Wright & Co. law offices, and I have to be a good big sister to Pearly, and Nick too. Well, as long as I'm not locked up or captured or something like that. We finally finished. So it's true! Mr. Nick really is Mystic Maya's knight in shining armor. He went through with the special course and everything. Actually, I heard there's a legendary extra special ultra course here too. I think I'll surprise the 2 of them by making them a secret reservation. No, Pearls! Don't do it! Don't do it! Maggie bought me a brand new coat as a present, pal. I feel 10 years younger. I'll never take it off. Oh, that's so cool. Yes, but somehow you just don't seem the same. I guess a dirty, shabby old overcoat is more detective-like, sir. Don't worry about it. In the name of love, a man will soil himself silly? What? Yeah, Mr. Wright, I am once again in your debt. Thanks to you, the Treasures of Kurain exhibit was a great success. I even got to see Ms. Von Karma, who I hadn't seen for years. She taught me how to use a whip and said that I must show you what I've learned. I think she hasn't seen her in a while. I didn't get to see that last part. It's Mask to Mask. Desi and I started a company called Mask to Mask Consulting. We're dedicated to stopping the evil plans of all the criminals in the city. Our motto is, cut it out, please! Pretty cute, huh? Well, we also sell plans to the criminals as a kind of side business. I wonder if that's okay. Sometimes I think maybe we're the worst criminals. Mr. Wright, I want to thank you for exterminating Don Tigre. I returned the $500,000 along with a tea set, a special thick tea. One I mixed with my own 2 hands. I bet he's drinking it now. Win through compromise. He. Sorry, this ending is taking forever. 30 minutes has been nothing but talking through the end. I'm just old in the way a wrinkly, grumpy clown knows something. At least that's what I thought. But my grandkids had a birthday party for me the other day. Aww, talk about embarrassing. 69 years old and I cried like a baby with a dirty diaper. 69 years old? Aww. As usual, we have an abundance of work to do. We've hired a new programmer to replace Glenn Elg. I do hope everyone will get along. His name is Adam Mada. As soon as I heard his name, I knew our brain circuits would align perfectly. My. More reporters? Since the murder, we've made it so much money, I hardly know what to do. I think the magazines like us because I provide such a nice visual, especially in spring. I can hardly wait for Iris to come back. Wow! Ho ho! You're so funny. She was all jiggly. She's so chirpies. You've turned into such a respectable man, Feeny. It was so sweet of you and everyone else to come and visit me here the other day. Of course, I was happy that you constantly had your eyes on me, but I feel kind of bad when the little one slapped you so hard you got a nosebleed. Ben Groman Judd? Groman? That face. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Sion King? I don't know. Christina? Okay.
Go down. James C. Wilson.
He threw the...
Francisca. Von Karma. James C. Sue.
Not Jackson!
Winston Payne. David Curlson.
Chrysalid?
Who is that? Oh my God.
What's this? I'm back from a long and tiring vacation and no one is here to greet me? I guess while I was gone, my little whippersnapper buddy quit and now I've got no one. And what kind of lonely, crazy security room is this supposed to be anyway? What with all the flashing lights and switches, I feel like some sort of space alien. Now that I'm going to do it, if I bring over edgy poo, I know I really can't accept these, I'm afraid, or just... heart. What? Okay. Rat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat-a-tat. She did never. We never saw her in this game, I don't think, until just now. Oh gosh. I finally found something I love to do. Frenzy's whiplash splash is going. I should have realized it sooner. Self-centered, lazy, antisocial. I'm an artist, a really good portrait artist. I'm not a loser after all. I hate how fast this text goes by. I can't read that fast. Shinji Mikami. Oh, that's cool. No, bikini stunning. Yeah. Yep, that's it. That is the end. Alright, well, that took a long time. That was a 45-minute long ending. Anyways, my husband's home already. So anyways, we'll be back tomorrow with, I think my daughter's gonna do some Roblox. And I guess we'll do some record tomorrow. We just gotta finish record, and then after that we will do, I already know what game I'm gonna play out. I can't think of it right now, but I'll tell you later. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great evening. Thanks for watching us play. We really appreciate it. Or me play, really. It was just me tonight. I forgot. So anyways, we'll see you guys next time. So take care and have a good night. Bye-bye.